Hey everybody, this is Mr. Horton with a series of video backup lessons for Studio Art 1, Studio Art 2, and film appreciation and cinematography. Verney Arts, Iona Prep. All right, guys, here we are with the new thing that we are working on, which is 1 point perspective. This is not graded, it's just classwork. So we're going to be on perspective for in class the next give or take about 2 weeks. So everything we do in class for the next 2 weeks, I want you guys to use a ruler for everything humanly possible you could use, okay? Because perspective is a very precise thing. It's all about precise angles and measurements and everything like that. The very first thing you're going to do, you're going to put your book horizontal, you're going to get out your ruler, you're going to kind of find the middle of the page with the ruler, and you're going to give me a horizontal line that breaks the page into 2 parts. Now, this horizontal line is what we call the horizon line. It is what breaks Earth from sky due to the curvature of the Earth. Now, on that line, I'm going to put my ruler back on it, and I'm going to find the middle of the line, which if you're using a normal ruler, which I gave you guys, it should be 6 inches, okay? Right in the middle, because it's a 12-inch page, so we're going to put a dot at the middle. Now, that dot is super small. It's only as big as I can see it. It's not anything gigantic. That dot is our vanishing point. This point is the furthest point away from us. Think of it like infinity. This is where all of the lines you are drawing are going to escape to. Okay, so in 1 point perspective, the first thing you do to put things into 3D is you always draw the shape of the thing you want to make into 3D. So we are going to start out with the simplest thing ever, which is boxes. So I'm going to draw 3 cubes on this left side. I'm going to draw a cube on the top left. Again, use your ruler. If you see me not using a ruler, remember, my ability to draw a straight line and your ability to draw a straight line, not the same thing. All right, now that I got my 3 cubes in, I'm only going to focus on the top left cube for right now. Now, I am going to find every change in direction that cube has. And a cube has 4 changes in direction. Top right, bottom left, top left. I'm going to take my ruler and starting at the top right corner, I'm going to put my ruler at the top right corner of the cube, and I'm going to put my ruler on the vanishing point right here. So I have kind of a straight line. Now I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw a line all the way to the vanishing point. So from the top right corner to the vanishing point, I'm going to draw a straight line using my ruler. I am going to repeat this process for the bottom right corner and the bottom left corner. Okay, now I did not draw a line from the top left, for the simplest reason of, if this is a solid block, you are not going to be able to see that corner because of the positive space of the block itself. By the way, these lines I'm putting in, these are called guidelines. In an art textbook, which do exist, these are known as quadrangles. You're going to hear me calling them guidelines. Okay, so we have 3 guidelines. 1, 2, 3. Now, the close off. From guideline 1 to guideline 2, the first 2 lines that we put to the vanishing point, you're looking at a straight vertical line. So I know that anywhere down this space, when I go to cut this off, it has to be a straight vertical. It can't be diagonal in any way, okay? So I'm going to go down this space, and I'm just going to kind of pick a spot, and I'm going to draw in a straight vertical line between the 2 guidelines. From where that straight vertical line touches guideline 2, I now have to go to guideline 3, which is this one. Now, from guideline 2 to guideline 3, you're looking at a straight horizontal because of the face. So the same thing, I'm going to find where I did that vertical line. I'm going to bring my ruler up. I'm going to touch it right here, and I'm going to go across. And I'm going to give it a horizontal line. I'm not making it diagonal in any way. It's just horizontal. Now, I'm going to take my eraser. I'm going to erase the remaining guidelines. Okay, and then I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to color in one plane of the cube. Let's do the bottom left block. Now we're going to repeat this whole process again. I'm going to go a little bit quicker this time, okay? From the bottom right corner to the dot, I'm going to put my ruler on the bottom right corner. I'm going to put it on the dot. I'm going to draw a line. You're going to notice I'm already doing something different. Top right corner to the dot, I'm going to draw a line. Top left corner to the dot, I'm going to draw a line. Now you'll notice the thing I did different was I did not draw my line all the way to the dot. The reason why I didn't is I don't need to. As you saw up here, I erased most of it. If you don't need to draw it all the way to the dot, don't do it. I know I'm going to close off this block kind of close. As long as you know these lines are going there, it's fine to draw them halfway if you know you're going to draw the block shorter. It just makes it a little bit easier. Now again, cut off. From guideline 1 to guideline 2, I'm looking at a straight vertical line. So anywhere in this space, it's going to be a straight vertical again. From guideline 2 to guideline 3, on the face of the block, I'm looking at a straight horizontal line. So from that point over, it has to be a straight horizontal. In 1-point perspective, the big rule I will give you, your lines can only really do 3 things in 1-point perspective. They are either horizontal, vertical, or if they are diagonal, they're going to the dot. If you have a diagonal line that's going nowhere, like, so say for example when you did this block, if you did a diagonal line that went like this, and it's going this way, and this way, it's not going to the dot, that's probably wrong. 99% of the time, that line is probably wrong. There are weird situations where those lines can be right per the perspective, but not for what we're doing. So horizontal, vertical, or to the dot. That's it. That's the only way your lines are going. Now, middle block. This one's the easy one. We're going from the bottom right to the dot. We're going from the top right to the dot. I am not bothering with a guideline from the top left to the bottom left because, again, it is behind the positive space of the block itself. You don't see it. Close off. Because from guideline 1 to guideline 2, it's a straight vertical line, I know that the close off is also a straight vertical line. Now I'm going to do a bunch of erasing here. Okay, and I'm going to color in one plane of the block. So there we go. We have 3 blocks in 1-point perspective. All right, let's keep it going. Okay, so I have put in now a giant rectangle at the top. I put in a square that's bigger than these ones on the right side on the horizon line, and I put in a right triangle in the bottom right. Okay, so get these 3 shapes in, and now we're going to put these into perspective. So again, I'm going to start with the top one, and I'm just going to go from the bottom left corner, and I'm going to go from the bottom right corner to the dot. And again, I'm not going from the top left and the top right because I don't see those guidelines due to the positive space of the rectangle itself. I'm going to close off the upper rectangle with a horizontal line that's straight across because the face of the block is a horizontal line that's straight across. Again, I'm not doing any diagonals. And I'm going to erase my excess guidelines. Not going to color in anything yet because I'm going to do something into this. Right box. I'm going from the top left of the block to the dot. I'm going from the bottom left of the block to the dot. I'm closing this off with a straight vertical line, again, because the face of the block is straight vertical. I'm not changing the angle at all. I'm going to erase the horizon line inside of that plane. I'm going to erase the excess guidelines. Again, I'm not coloring it in. We're doing something to it. Triangle. From the top of the triangle, top point, I'm going to the dot. I'm actually going to send this line all the way to the dot. I'm not going to do it halfway. And I'm also going to do it then from the bottom left. I'm going to go all the way to the dot. My close off, because the face of the triangle is a diagonal, my close off is the same exact diagonal that the face is. Okay, I'm leaving these guidelines in. All right, so what we're about to do here is we are about to make this triangle look like it's copied, going back into infinity. Okay, so we're going to do the same triangle a bunch of times. So I'm going to do this same diagonal again that I just did in the same guideline area. And I'm going to do a second one. So I have the 2 that constitute the block in the foreground, then I have 2 more right behind that. Now I'm going to do a couple more of these, and you'll notice that I'm going to get ever so slightly closer with my diagonal lines in pairs, because the further the lines get away from you in space, the closer they group together. So I just put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. Okay, so 8 lines in total, 4 pairs, okay, going back in space. Now, I'm going to take my pencil, and just so I can see these a little bit better, I'm going to color in every other one. All right, now, from each corner of diagonal, I'm going to do the same thing the face has. So the face has a vertical and a horizontal. So from each corner, top right corner, I'm going to do a vertical, a vertical, a vertical, a vertical. Now, where this vertical line is touching the forward triangle, so that's touching right here. That doesn't mean necessarily it's going to touch at the same point at every triangle, okay? Just be aware of that. I'm then going to do a horizontal line at the bottom corner. So horizontal, horizontal. This is going to be a little bit like magic. Horizontal, horizontal. And then just like that, you can see the triangle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going back into space. And all I'm going to do is erase. Okay, and just like that, we have a triangle now going back into space. Okay, so now that we've done the triangles, go to the block over here and give me a half circle, and go to the upper rectangle and give me an M on the faces of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these shapes out of the positive space of these blocks using 1-point perspective. So let's start with the C over here, and I'm going to start with where the half circle or the backward C touches the vertical line right here. So I have a touch point here and I have a touch point here. I'm going to put my ruler on the first touch point, so the upper curve and the dot, and I'm going to draw a line to the dot. I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom touch point, going right to the dot. Okay, so I got these. Now I'm going to erase. Okay, now, all I'm going to do to finish this off is I'm going to look at the original curve I drew, and I'm going to try my best to redraw that, okay? But I'm not going to start here, I'm going to start here. So I'm going to just redraw this curve, and be very cautious of it just like being the same direction and same everything. And then I'm going to redraw in the horizon line that goes into touch, and just like that, I now have a block with a half circle cut out in perspective. Okay, the upper block, same thing. I'm going to go to every change in direction on the M, and I'm going to go to the dot. So from the bottom M, I'm going to go to the dot. From the upper point on the left side, I'm going to go to the dot. From the middle to the dot. Upper right to the dot. Bottom right to the dot. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guidelines all converging at that dot. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to erase. But from this corner, right here, I'm going to mimic the forward shape. So I'm going here, I'm stopping. I'm going to mimic this, stopping. I'm mimicking this, stopping. And I'm mimicking this, stopping. And then just like that, I'm going to erase. Okay, in 1-point perspective. All right, last shape I want to show you guys. Okay, guys, so the last shape you're going to draw on this is going to be a circle. Just draw it as best you can. Try to get it underneath the vanishing point, somewhere in this region. Okay, now, the weird thing about a circle is there's no corners to put guidelines at. So the best way I can describe this to you is you kind of have to look at the vanishing point and just guesstimate where your guidelines are going to go. So because my circle's here, the guidelines have to be from basically the furthest right point of the circle to the dot, and it's got to be from the furthest left point, but I'm going to kind of put it from, if it was a clock, from like 11 to the dot. Again, because it moves with the dot. If it was directly underneath the dot, it would be perfectly right, perfectly left guidelines. If it was over on the left or right side, it'd be on the top and the bottom. Okay, but yeah, so those points. Now, from between the two guidelines, I'm going to redraw the curve, similarly to how we did the negative space over here. Now, I'm going to redraw this curve in anywhere in this space, and this circle is going to become a cylinder. And just like that, there we go. I got a cylinder on that plane. This is 1-point perspective. Again, we did 3 blocks. We did the triangles going back to infinity. We did the negative space blocks, and we did the cylinder. This is not graded. We're about to go on to our next project grade on this, which is the next thing we're going to do. Any questions, email me. If you have any questions about the assignment, email me or refer to the project on Google Classroom. See you in class.